What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Monday, April 14th, starting it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league. We'll start it off with the bad news, as outfielder Brandon Lockridge of the Padres was placed on the 10-day IL with a left hamstring strain. He had been filling in for Jackson Merrill in center field, but Lockridge will now head to the IL with a hamstring strain. Connor Joe was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. He'll likely see some time against left-handed pitching, but Tyler Wade will see some time in center field, and Oscar Gonzalez should see some more playing time in the outfield at the very least. He may platoon on the short side with Tyler Wade, but that is still yet to be seen. Tyler Wade, though, will get the majority of the playing time in center field with both Brandon Lockridge and Jackson Merrill on the IL. Next, we have designated hitter Chris Bryant, who was placed on the 10-day IL with lumbar degenerative disc disease, and that doesn't sound great, and it's likely going to be a lengthy IL stint, another one for Chris Bryant, and this is probably going to be something that affects him throughout his entire career. He's always dealt with back injuries and issues of that sort, and this one sounds like something that's going to be affecting him throughout his career. It suggests that his spine is degenerating, or at least the discs in his lumbar are degenerating, and that's not a good sign for somebody like Chris Bryant, who's dealt with back injuries throughout his career. So don't expect him back for a while. He's probably a drop, or should be a drop, in every single league. Kyle Farmer has been seeing some more time at DH for the Rockies, and that leaves more playing time for Adael Amador over at second base. And I think Mickey Moniak, Zach Veen, and Nick Martini will have a clearer path to playing time in the outfield too, allowing one of those guys to sometimes fill in at DH with Chris Bryant now out of the way. Our next IL placement involves relief pitcher Sam Moll, who's placed on the 15-day IL with a left shoulder impingement. Brent Suter is likely to be more heavily relied upon by the Reds moving forward as their number 2 left-handed relief option. Next, we have outfielder Jose Siri, who was placed on the 10-day IL, not officially yet, but it's expected. He fractured his left tibia, so he's likely out for at least a month there. Tyrone Taylor will see the majority of playing time in center field for the Mets moving forward. And lastly, catcher Endy Rodriguez is expected to be placed on the 10-day IL with a finger laceration. He was hit by a batted ball on his hand, and it required stitches. And with Joey Bart dealing with a back injury right now, the Pirates really need some catching help. So Henry Davis is likely to see a lot of playing time right now. And I will close out this section with our only transaction, as Joe Boyle was surprisingly optioned to the minors after his electric start on Sunday. But I guess the Rays rotation is pretty set as is, with Ryan Pepio, Zach Littell, Taj Bradley, Drew Rasmussen, and Shane Baz all locked in. But expect Boyle back at some time this year. I don't expect all these guys to stay healthy or successful throughout the season. So Boyle will get another chance, but we're going to have to wait for now. Now let's take a look at some of the notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had just 10 games on the slate. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with second baseman Tyler Fitzgerald, who helped the Giants to a win in Philadelphia, going 3 for 4 with 3 runs, a double, a triple, a home run, and 3 runs batted in. It was his first home run of the year, and it traveled 369 feet at 97 miles per hour. Fitzgerald is batting ninth and playing second every day for the Giants this season. He was a big part of that lineup last year when he went 280 with 50, or batted 280 with 15 homers and 17 steals in just 96 games, but that came with a 31% strikeout rate and a 380 BABIP. So there was lots of uncertainty about Fitzgerald repeating that over a full season in 2025. It's looking more so like he's going to bat 230 with 10 homers and 20 steals over a full season this year if the Giants continue to run him out there every single day. He's going to have low run production numbers there, batting at the bottom of the order, but he should be safe in the steals department, as usually guys batting ninth get a lot of opportunities to steal bases with the top of the order behind them. So Fitzgerald not going to be performing at what he did in his breakout campaign last year, but he should still be rosterable in deeper leagues. Next, we have outfielder Cameron Misner, who helped the Rays to a win versus the Red Sox, going 3 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 home runs, 3 runs batted in, and a walk. He's up to 3 homers on the year now. The first one traveled 431 feet at 107 miles per hour, and the second one traveled 355 feet at 96 miles per hour. Misner had a brief debut last year. He's sort of a post-hype prospect at this point at 27 years old. He was the 35th overall pick by the Marlins back in 2019, and he displayed impressive power, speed, and discipline throughout his career in the minor leagues. He was a guy that walked double-digit rates with the ability to hit 20 homers and steal 30-plus bags. However, he always struggled to make consistent contact, striking out well over 30% of the time throughout his career in the minor leagues, especially at the higher levels. But this spring sort of displayed a different side of Misner as he struck out just 24% of the time while batting .394 across 38 plate appearances. And now through 45 plate appearances in the regular season, he's batting .400 with a 15.5% strikeout rate. So he's improved in that department. And if that continues, I think a breakout is in store for Cameron Misner. I think a more aggressive approach in the zone would help. He's obviously very passive, which allows him to produce these high walk rates, but that also leads to him being forced to chase pitches out of the zone where he really struggles to make contact. So that could be an issue for Misner if he is unable to be aggressive in the zone and attack the pitches that he needs to and do damage on them, that he may start striking out again. But right now he's got playing time. He's having success. He's on the strong side of a platoon in center field for the Rays. So Cameron Misner should be rostered probably everywhere right now, to be honest, just while he's on a heater, and we'll go from there. But right now it's looking pretty believable as his one the one thing you could detract from him is now seems to be a strength. Lastly, we have third baseman Nolan Arenado, who went 3 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 doubles, a home run, and 2 RBIs versus the Astros, the team he declined to be traded to in the offseason. It was his second home run of the year, and it traveled 379 feet at 100 miles per hour. And Arenado had a big decline last year, but I think the real question is whether his power would return. I don't think people were wondering about his defense or his contact ability, but the power was huge as it declined last year. Since joining St. Louis, Arenado hit 34 homers, then down to 30, then down to 26, then down to 16. So big drop off last year. And the clear problem there was that he wasn't doing his signature thing of pulling fly balls, period. And that's how he taps into his power with, not great batted ball metrics and not great barrel numbers. Arenado is forced to get the most out of it by pulling all of his fly balls. He didn't do a lot of that last year, and he hasn't been doing that this year. And the StatCast metrics don't appear to be improved either. So I'm not really expecting a resurgent season from Arenado. He should still be a great producer in the average run and RBI department. However, the power doesn't look like it's going to be returning in 2025 for Nolan Arenado. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Grant Holmes, who helped the Braves to a win in Toronto, going 7 2/3 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 3 earned runs while walking 2 and striking out 4. He induced 9 whiffs with 27% CSW across 94 pitches. And pretty impressive here to go 7 2/3 after failing to pitch more than 4 innings in his first 3 appearances. Holmes went fastball, slider, cutter versus righties, and then incorporated the curveball versus lefties. He threw enough strikes and varied his pitches enough to pitch efficiently in this one, and that's what I was really worried about heading into the start, was whether or not he'd pitch efficiently enough, and he definitely did that here, relying heavily on balls in play, which allowed him to get into the 8th in under 100 pitches. The slider and the curve were his whiff pitches in this one. Holmes had 3 whiffs apiece on the slider and curve as they combined for 28% CSW. I don't think Holmes is ever going to be an ace for the Braves, but he will be a legit contributor in standard leagues. He's got a good defense behind him and a good offense, allowing him to get a lot of wins. He's got a deep enough arsenal that can take down both righties and lefties. So I think he's going to be solid, just not top tier potential, probably more of a SP3 for in fantasy. Holmes gets the Twins next in Atlanta, and that's a fine start for me. Next, we have the other Holmes, as Clay Holmes helped the Mets to win in Minnesota, tossing 5 innings, allowing 2 hits and 1 earned run. He walked 2 while striking out 8, inducing 12 whiffs with 27% CSW across 90 pitches. Holmes' sinker and changeup were extremely effective in this one. The sinker went 5 whiffs and 36% CSW, while the change induced 6 whiffs with 27% CSW. But the slider wasn't much help versus righties in this one, but he had enough help. He had enough weapons to get by otherwise against righties as he dominated lefties with arm side run with the sinker and the changeup combining there. And then he surprised with the occasional cutter. I think we're going to continue to see this from Holmes, where night in and night out, we're not really sure what his arsenal is going to look like, but he's going to have enough to get by. I think his stuff's really really good. It just depends on if he's able to control the pitches that he needs to for a complete ball game. He's already displayed incredible strikeout stuff as well, with 28 strikeouts in fewer than 20 innings already. However, as Nick has dubbed him, I think he's going to be a hipster throughout the year. You're not really sure when he's going to have success and when he's going to fail. So you sort of just have to throw him out there every day and get the middling numbers. You already see 3.66 ERA, but a 1.47 whip. That's hard to stomach. I think he's going to be a guy who needs to be rostered all year long, but he's going to be difficult and frustrating to roster. That's Clay Holmes. He gets the Cardinals next in Queens, and that's a start for me. And lastly, we have Dustin May, as he helped the Dodgers to win versus the Rockies, tossing 6 innings, allowing 3 hits and 1 run. He walked nobody while striking out 7, inducing 14 whiffs with 36% CSW across 76 pitches. Dustin May took advantage of Rocky Road facing the Rockies away from Coors. It was a lefty-heavy lineup, so he went sinker, slider, fastball heavy in this one. The sinker went 4 whiffs and 34% CSW. Slider went 6 whiffs and 43% CSW, while the four-seamer went 4 whiffs and 29% CSW. It was used solely against left-handed batters, as he went sinker slider against righties and then surprised upstairs with the four-seamer. I think Dustin May's ceiling is probably a little lower this year. He's got diminished velocity, and it seems like he's not trusting the depth of his arsenal. We didn't see a lot of the cutter and changeup throughout his starts already this season. So if he's just a 3-pitch guy, I think he's going to do fine against starts like this. He's got a great lineup behind him as well, so he's going to get a ton of wins. I think May's going to be solid throughout the year. He's just not going to have that ace potential that we thought he might have before he underwent surgery. May gets the Cubs on the north side of Chicago next, and that's going to be a start in my books as well. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Devin Williams recorded his 2nd save with a scoreless 9th, and Tanner Scott recorded his 5th save with a scoreless 9th of his own. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Dennis Santana pitched the 9th up by 7. The Pirates put on 5 insurance runs in the 8th, but they still decided to send out their closer in the 9th. But that'll do it for our relief pitcher roundup. If you'd like more info on relievers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Tuesday, April 15th, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Luis Castillo versus Nick Lodolo. I'm excited to see what Lodolo can do, as he's had a hot start to the season, and I feel like he's going to have a breakout season. I'm excited to see what he can do, taking advantage of a mediocre Mariners lineup, and I'm excited to see Castillo square off against his former team in Cincinnati. In terms of probable starters, we've got 9 guys in our auto starts tier, including Castillo. We've also got Max Fried versus the Royals, Spencer Schwellenbach in Toronto, and Jack Flaherty in Milwaukee. In our probably starts tier, we've got 8 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Jake Irvin as he takes on the Pirates in Pittsburgh. Irvin surprised last start in his first outing of the year with his curveball looking really good. Nick thinks that the Pirates are not a great lineup and that the ballpark is a good one to pitch in, so Jake Irvin is his streaming choice of the day. I'd also keep an eye out for Merrill Kelly in Miami. He was 21% rostered when I checked earlier. That's probably going to rise as waivers run tonight. However, I think Merrill Kelly was under rostered in the majority of leagues. So if he's out there, I think this is a clear start. He had one rough start this season, but he's one of the most reliable, trustworthy pitchers. If you're just looking for a quality start and a win, Merrill Kelly in Miami is a great option. In terms of hitter suggestions, I usually do team matchups, but there weren't really many obvious ones in this one. So I'll give you some singular player guys versus who have had some success versus the starters that they're going to face tomorrow. But we got Carlos Santana, who's taking on Charlie Morton in his career, 11 at-bats, 2 homers, 364 average, and a 1508 OPS. I think Carlos Santana could do some damage against Charlie Morton on Tuesday. Next, we have Adolis Garcia, who's crushed Yusei Kikuchi throughout his career. Just 9 at-bats, but 2 homers, a 333 average, and a 1333 OPS. So Adolis Garcia versus Yusei Kikuchi is a good stream there. And lastly, Randy Arozarena versus Nick Lodolo is another good option. He's had just 6 ABs versus Lodolo, but he's 4 for 6 with 2 homers and a 2,500 OPS. So I think Randy's probably going to have some success on Tuesday. In terms of relievers to watch, I think all closers are ready to go for tomorrow. Maybe do some spec ads on the Miami Marlins bullpen. It's not really clear who's going to be the closer there. Anthony Bender, Calvin Fauché. Not a great situation, but that's all I got for you today. If you'd like more information on relievers, definitely go check out the In the Pen podcast. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.